Our first problem is the deterministic finite automate or DFA. The problem is to design a deterministic finite automate that ends with 1, 0, 0 with symbol set of string 0 and 1. Let me explain this problem and for tuple. State of the DFA, input alphabet, start state, and the final state. Firstly, state of DFA set of string W is the initial states. Set of string X is the string ends with 1. Set of string Y is string ends with 1, 0. Set of string Z is string ends with 1, 0, 0. Next, input alphabet is equal to string set of 0 and 1. Next, start state is equal to string W. And the last, final state is equal to string Z. Final state or string Z will go back to string W back itself to get the input 0, while string W will go to the string X to get the input 1. It is important to make a graphical representation first before we go into transition function. So let's back to the problem. The problem is DFA that ends with 1, 0, 0. In this graph, it is easy to know the start state W and the final state Z. Starting in string W to string X is input 0. String X to Y is input 0. Lastly, string Y to Z is input 0. To create a transition function, you should first learn or see the graph representation because it will guide you through the process.
Problem 2. Design a NFA to accept the string of all X's followed by all Y's. Non-deterministic finite automaton. Let me explain this problem. And for tuple, state of the NDFA, input alphabet, transition function, start state, and the final state. Firstly, state of NDFA is set of a string Q0, Q1, Q2 is the initial state. Next, input alphabet is equal to string set of XY. Next, start state is equal to string Q0. Next, final state is equal to string Q0. Now, let's talk about the transition function and graphical representation for non-deterministic finite automaton. Initial state string Q0 goes itself to get input X. String Q0 goes to string Q1 to get input X. String Q1 goes itself to get input Y. And lastly, string Q1 goes to string Q2 or final state to get input Y.
If you can see, in this transition function table, there are 4 empty sets. We will only use the empty set symbol when there is no other string to access and when we have already gotten what we are looking for in the problem.
Problem 3. Construct deterministic finite automata, string with ending AC with symbol set of string ABC. Let me explain this problem and for tuple. State of the DFA, input alphabet, start state, and the final state. So here's the state of DFA, set of string 1 initial state, set of string 2 string ends A, set of string 3 string ends C. In input alphabet, set of string ABC, in start state, set of string 1, in final state, set of string 3. Now let's talk about the graphical representation and transition function for deterministic finite automaton. So the problem is DFA to string with ending AC with symbol of string ABC. Initial state string 1 goes to itself to get input B. String 1 goes to string 2 to get input A. String 2 goes to string 1 to get input C. String 2 goes to last string 3 to get input A. And lastly, string 3 goes to string 1 to get input AC. So it is accepted because we were looking for a string with ending AC. Next is the problem 4. Design a non-deterministic function automata to accept the strings of all A's followed by all B's. Let me explain this problem and 5 tuple. State of the DFA, input alphabet, start state, and also the final state. Firstly, state of DFA, set of string Q0, Q1, Q2. State of NDFA and input alphabet. Next, in input alphabet is equal to string set of AD. Next, start state is equal to string Q0. Next, final state is equal to string Q2. Now, let's talk about the transition function and deterministic finite automata. If you can see here in this transition function table, there are 4 empty sets. We will only use the empty set symbol when there is no longer other string to access and when we have already gotten what we are looking for the problem. And lastly, our graphical representation for non-deterministic finite automaton. Initial state string Q0 goes to itself to get input A. String Q0 goes to string Q1 to get input A. String Q1 goes itself to get input D. String Q1 goes to string Q2, the final state, to get input D.